Hi, Assalamu alaikum. I hope I'm live. Let me just readjust. Okay, so my sincere apologies because I was supposed to start doing this live feed at 6:30. Um, like every first time you do it, I've had technical problems of all sorts. So it's taken me a good 15 or 18 minutes to sort out, and perhaps should have done it earlier. Excuse me if I cough. I am currently suffering with a bit of a cold, but I didn't want to cancel today because my next few weeks are crazy, and I just wanted to make sure that I do this live feed because otherwise I just didn't know when I would reschedule. Now I have put down that the live feed is from 6:30 to 8:30. However, it is down to, depending on how many people are here live, which I suspect, given the late start, there may not be many people watching right now. But obviously I've allowed that for any questions to be asked. Now, if you are watching this as a recording, that's not a problem. Just put down your questions in the comments box, and I will get back to you. So let me start from the beginning. Who am I? So I'm going to kick off with, I'm basically going to take myself slightly on the side. Right. So Experience Pakistan is the name of my company. What do we do? So, well, what are we all about? So it was interesting because I was at an event last week with Responsible Travel. It's a kind of Responsible Travel is a platform that I'm a member of with many other operators. And what was evident when you spoke to a lot of other people who have kind of gone into the tourism business in terms of promoting holidays and destinations, everyone has a story. There's very few people that are there just for the commercials. There's a lot of stories behind kind of wanting to change narratives, change perceptions, whether that's for Somalia, Sudan, in my case, Pakistan. But it was also a genuine desire to want to kind of give back, to help communities in those areas. And I suppose that's part of the beauty of being a member of Responsible Travel, because those of us who are members have taken a commitment to ensure that we aren't just promoting tourism, but we are doing it in a socially responsible way, looking after the local environment to ensure that's protected. But more importantly, it's also about ensuring that we are giving back and we are helping the local communities genuinely. And to be a member of Responsible Travel, there's a lot of documentation, a lot of paperwork you have to do behind the scenes, quite rightly, to ensure that you are doing tourism in a responsible way. Slight digression, as I do with all my kind of slides, I've jumped ahead. But ultimately, why do we travel? Most of us travel because really money returns, but time doesn't. You know, one of the key things I think is paramount is how short time we have on this planet. And actually, when you sit back, what it is that you remember is the fond memories that you've made along the journey when you've been traveling, but all the fantastic people that you met. You know, very few of us will buy a Mercedes and 5 or 6 years later ponder about that great purchase. Actually, what we're probably, we might look at photo albums and think, oh, you know, what great memories we have of the car. But ultimately, you know, the real kind of valuable memories are created from holidays. So, you know, who are we? What do I do? So Experience Pakistan is a company that I set back in 2018, and it was very much about putting Pakistan in people's radar, changing perceptions and changing narratives about the country, but also to make Pakistan accessible. Now, when I started my journey, the biggest challenge I had was that there was a lack of marketing material. There wasn't a lot, and I'd have to start from scratch and curate it myself. And for anyone in the media industry, you know, or a small business, you know how expensive it is to create content in terms of advertising, in terms of kind of print, etc. However, I was very fortunate because actually I launched the company in May, and in June, July, Imran Khan came into government in Pakistan, and tourism was a very big agenda item on his mandate. And because tourism was so big, it meant that actually there was an influx in terms of content being created, and you had an influx of bloggers who came in, and suddenly my job became easier because they created a lot of content and covered Pakistan far better than I do in terms of the videos, the meeting the people, So when I do my presentations, I leverage a lot from that content, and kind of hone in on those vloggers to help bring to life some of the holiday packages that I am promoting. Now, what I'm going to start and kick off doing, just also to let you know that since launch, we've won about 9 awards now. So we've won from Greater London Enterprise, the best Pakistan travel experience provider for 2 years running. We've also won best customer service by SME National, and we are platinum winners of the Prestige Awards for Adventure Tour Agency of the Year. And by platinum winners, that means that for the last 4 years consecutively, we are winning that award every year. Something that I'm very proud of. And most importantly, which I'm going to see if I can't change the screen there. I'm going to move my camera there so you can see we are also members of Responsible Travel, which is something that I'm extremely proud of because of the work they do, and because of kind of it makes sure that I'm constantly checking to make sure all my tours that I'm offering are kind of based on the values of giving back and ensuring that we take you to Pakistan in a responsible way and protecting the local and natural habitat as well. So I'm going to, as I said, over the next hour or so, I'm going to be taking you through the 16-day tour itinerary that we have of the slide that I started off. So the Pakistan Architecture and History Tour, it's one of our most popular tours that we do. We have 3 dates. 2 key dates are one for this year, which is on the 22nd of December, and then we have one for 16th of February for next year, and then we have another date coming up for next year in December. So as I said, over the next hour, I'm not going to go into detail in terms of the history, of each of the sites you see, but it's a whistle-top tour to give you an idea of what you can expect over the 16 days, what you will see. And then I'm going to end up with frequently asked questions, and obviously leave it to those of you who are watching live to ask many questions in the comments box. So sorry, I'm just going to check. Hi Phil, nice to see you. Right, so before I do that, I'm going to add this video. It is a video that I absolutely love. I call it my magic video, and the reason being is because everyone who watches this video kind of ends up saying, wow, I did not know that. I'm going to just see if I can, so I'm going to shut up for a bit so you can watch the video. Let me just see if I can play the video. Okay.
My name is Ava, and I am a travel vlogger. Over the last year, I traveled to Pakistan far and wide, north to south and east to west. My videos and content about the country have garnered millions of views, but I'm not here to talk about myself today. Today, I'm here to talk about what I've seen of Pakistan and what I believe the future of Pakistan's tourism can be. See, most of my Pakistan friends start to chuckle when I tell them this, but it's really no joke. I believe that Pakistan can be the world's #1 tourism destination. It really can. Let me give you a few arguments as to why I think so. Starting with the mountains of Pakistan, one of the greatest assets that nature has bestowed on this country. Beyond the current resorts of Malam Jaba and Nauta, why can't ski resorts dot the peaks of these mountains? And beyond that, looking at the beautiful landscapes of Skardu and Hunza and Sawat, why can't Pakistan become the next Bhutan and Nepal, with mountaineering and mountain trekking infrastructures that rival those of its neighboring countries? With 8 out of the world's 20 tallest mountains, this should be the epicenter of the world's trekking, adventure, and mountain tourism. And just look at the mountains of the south. This is Hingal National Park in Balochistan. Now, why can't this become the next Grand Canyon? Just imagine tourists trekking, hiking, and camping among these beautiful nature reserves. And while we're in Balochistan, how can we forget about the beaches? The entire coast of the Arabian Sea, with the right attitude and vision, could become one of the world's prime beach destinations for all seasons. Imagine 5-star resorts, private islands, and beach shacks lining this beautiful coastline. Because, after all, Isn't it beautiful? And isn't it awesome? Next up, culture and the arts. Both Sindh and the capital of culture, Lahore, have so much to offer. The craftsmanship and artistry and handicrafts that I've seen are unlike anywhere else in the world. This could be Pakistan's prime export. And imagine thousands, hundreds of thousands of tourists bringing bits of Pakistan with them back home to share with their communities. Religious tourism. Pakistan has such an incredible Islamic heritage. And I know that the Sufi trail of Sindh can appeal not just to Muslim tourists, but to any tourists interested in history and culture. Pakistan also happens to be the birthplace of Sikhism and the travels of Guru Nanak. It's also home to some of the most important Hindu sites in the world, as well as Buddhist stupas and remains of a rich Buddhist heritage. History. Why don't more people around the world know that Pakistan is where the world's oldest civilization, the Indus Valley Civilization, was found? Why can't Machu Necropolis, Ranakot Fort, or Mohenjo-Daro become the next Machu Picchu or Angkor Wat? What exactly is preventing Pakistan from becoming the world's top destination for history buffs? And of course, let's not forget about the food. Pakistan has such a rich culture of food and cuisines, and the diversity from province to province is just astonishing. Take Lahore and Karachi. Where are the Michelin-starred restaurants? Why can't these places become some of the world's top culinary hubs for foodie tourism? Well, this is my Pakistan. It's going to take so much time, effort, dedication, and investment to bring this vision into reality. But I know that the gifts that Pakistan has been blessed with are endless. This is how I see the future of tourism in Pakistan. And I hope that you share my vision.
So I hope you'll agree it's a video that I've seen numerous times, and I cannot tell you that I still love it, and I still get goosebumps when I watch it. Anyways, I'm going to crack on, and as I said, please feel free to ask questions. You don't have to wait till the end. So this is a 16-day tour, and the tour starts off in Islamabad. When people are booking this tour, one of the things that I advise them is that when booking your ticket, please book a multi-city ticket. And what I mean by that is that the tour starts in Islamabad, but it ends in Karachi. Now, people I know use their air miles, so with British Airways, which is fine because we can then arrange a domestic flight for you from Karachi back to Islamabad at the end of the tour. But please note that this tour actually is designed for a multi-city ticket to start in Islamabad and ending in Karachi. One of the other options you have is that you can actually kind of arrive the day before, so you feel a bit fresh, but obviously that at the end I'll go through the prices. So this price is on the assumption that you arrive on day one in Islamabad. It doesn't account for an early check-in if you were to arrive the day before. So on the day you arrive, depending on kind of what time the flight arrives at, we basically allow you to an hour to a couple hours to freshen up, take you back to the hotel. One of the key things that we do also is that when the driver comes, is that we basically take you to a local market, so you can get a local SIM and help you basically take the local bureau to exchange money. So that's a common question I get asked, that should we exchange money in advance? And I say probably not, because we know the local agents where you get the best deal, and our kind of team and drivers are well aware of that, and we'll do that as a first kind of quick action when they pick you up. Some of the key attractions that you see are the Faisal Mosque. Faisal Mosque, that's the image that you can see on the slide at the moment. It's a beautiful kind of modern architecture, and it was gifted to Pakistan by of Saudi Arabia. Bursa Museum is another tour stop that we'll take you to. Because obviously I'm conscious of time, I'm not going to be going into detail for everything. But what I will do is when I upload this video onto YouTube, is share links where, as I said, Ava's is one of my favourite bloggers, and she goes into a lot more depth about some of the different sites. And I think her videos do more justice. So as I said, this is more of a whistle-stop tour to give you a flavour of some places you'll see. I shared Ava's videos of some places that she showed you, in terms of that Great Wall of China equivalent that you will be seeing on this specific tour. The Loch Morrison Museum is an incredible cultural museum where you can see the local handicraft and the celebration of all the different cultural aspects of fashion, to music, to pottery that exists in Pakistan. You have then we'll take you to see Pakistan National Monument, Darnikor, which is a beautiful viewpoint in the Murrabilla Hills. And then we will also take you to the Golrashri Rail Museum, and we'll take you to see the Parliament House. And you can't go inside, but it will be just kind of to give you a look from the outside. Now, previously, about 15 years ago, you could go right up close to the buildings. Now, because of obviously the way the world has changed, and for security reasons, you can't go as close as you could, and there are some barriers, but it will give you a flavour of kind of where the Parliament Houses are positioned. And in the evening, to be honest, we used to take everyone to Manal restaurant, which is a beautiful panoramic view of Myanmar. Unfortunately, I just discovered that closed about a month ago. But there are lots of different kind of options, and Shakaraparia is one of the options. It's a beautiful kind of recreation of what a village feels like with kind of Pakistani street food, and it has a lot of variety in terms of choice of restaurants. But if you do it privately, obviously we can do it based on your choice. If we're part of a group, once we have the group, we will share a few options and you can collectively decide, because our view is very much it's your holiday, not ours, so it's for you to decide, and we're there to guide you with some of the options. So on day two is kind of where the whole the archaeology and the history aspects of the tour starts. So we'll take you to Taxila. Taxila is famous. It's a famous archaeology site. It is also a World Heritage Site, and it's known for its kind of Buddhist, monastery remains from the Buddhism era. Whilst Islam is predominantly the main religion in Pakistan, actually, because of its geographic location, you'll see particularly on this tour, a lot of influences of Hinduism, of Buddhism, and Christianity. And a lot of it, the government has done quite a lot of effort to preserve those, but obviously that is part and parcel of Pakistan's history. We'll take you to see the Buddhist Stupa monastery. We'll also take you to see some Taxila a painting workshop. One of the things famous for both Pakistan and India are our trucks, our flamboyant colours involved. And that's something that, kind of a bit like, I suppose, when you get in the Western world, people go and wrap their cars because it's their sense of pride and joy. So in the same way, for truck owners in Pakistan, they like to decorate it, often it's an expression of their creativity, and it's their way of, putting across their personality and giving it a kind of a personal feel. And so, we're kind of taking you to not only watch it, but you can speak to some of the truck drivers as well, to get their thoughts and views on why they, the inspiration behind the decoration. And as I said, dinner, we can either take you to Shakaraparia if you haven't done it the night before, or there's plenty of options, both in tourist, the food court, or kind of in lots of other restaurants in the main Liberty area. And it's kind of one of the things you'll discover when you're in Pakistan is that we are big foodies. And sometimes I get people say we'd love to go to Pakistan, but we're not sure we can take the spice level. We're not sure that we can what we need Pakistani food every day. And I laugh at that because I'm thinking, Pakistan isn't, whilst of course, Pakistani food is fantastic, but we have some of the best Chinese restaurants, some of the best Thai restaurants, Italian restaurants. So really, much like, London's is cosmopolitan in terms of the variety of restaurants offer, Pakistan is very different. And what I love about the restaurants in Pakistan, that it's not just about the food. As Pakistanis, we love the whole ambience, the decor, and every restaurant has its own personality. And that's what we're hoping that over the 16 days, we can take you to a variety of restaurants so you can enjoy not just the Pakistani food, but also some of the Italian, the Chinese, because like the Chinese food in Pakistan is very different to the Chinese food flavors that you experience here. Both have their own lovely. Hi, Angela. No, there isn't. At the moment, it's just a static image, but there is a video, and I'll be sharing links where you can see other images as well. So I'm just going to, I'm on slide 2. I'm hoping you can see slide 2. Now I'm going on to slide 3. So on day 3, we kind of take you from Islamabad, and we'll leave Islamabad, and we'll take you to Peshawar, which is my hometown. It's a beautiful city with lots of culture, and we'll take you to Peshawar by Dakhbhai. Now, one of the key things I do have to point out is that currently Peshawar is a destination or a city on the FCO, which is basically advised against travel to. Now, having said that, I've had a number of clients who went to Peshawar last year. In fact, I had a client who went to Peshawar last month, and I have another client who's going to Peshawar next week. So it's, the FCO does put it down, if not, don't visit it, which I think is a disservice to the city, because it makes it out like it's a war zone, which it's not. Peshawar is very safe. My whole family lives there. I was there 2 months ago. It's completely safe to walk around. I think one of the reasons why the FCO kind of says that is because geographically it's located next to Afghanistan, which, as I said, I think it's a bit unfair, because I think it would be fair to say that you can visit Peshawar, but don't go into X amount of kilometers to the border of Afghanistan. Now, that said, I know that tourism in Afghanistan has started as well, and there's a number of videos on that. As I said, I'm not on the FCO board, so I can't really say that, but I do flag that up because, and I will put a link that for insurance policy, not every insurer will cover Peshawar, but I think it's an insurance company called Black Packers or something like that. I'll share a link which does cover destinations that offer visa. Peshawar is covered in that. Anyways, that said, so on the day, as we leave Islamabad and we go to Dakhbhai. Now, the drive from Islamabad to Dakhbhai is about 2.5 hours, it's about 120 kilometers, and the kind of visit at Dakhbhai will last about 3 hours. The guide you have on board is the same guide the whole duration. All of our guides have over 30 years experience. They're very well versed in English, and they have a lot of knowledge in terms of. And what I love is it's not just knowledge; they have a lot of stories to tell, and therefore I kind of say no two tours have ever been identical. Every tour is different because the guides tend to pick up quite quickly kind of a feeling of the group of what they like, what they don't like, and often it's like, even though this is a template, you'll find that once you're in the country there'll be a lot of tweaks, because as I said, the guides are very receptive to knowing what you want from your holiday and what kind of what you're interested in, and make sure that they're covering that off. So as I said, when I'm taking this is a template, a blueprint. There's so much more depth and detail which I can't cover because every tour is different for that reason. And then from Dakhbhai, kind of once you've done that, we will take you to Peshawar, which is about an hour and a half drive, so it's about 65 kilometers. And when you arrive in Peshawar, probably the only thing that we cover on this day is the Peshawar Museum. Now, to manage your expectations, Peshawar Museum is good because it gives you a flavour of kind of some of the Buddhism history, some of the Sikhism history, but if you're well travelled, it's not as grand as perhaps some of the museums in Dubai or the UK. So probably 45 minutes in Peshawar Museum is more than enough. And I say that because I do want to manage expectations. I always prefer to undersell and over-deliver than oversell and under-deliver. In terms of the evening, so there's lots of kind of different options of where you can eat. So depending on the group and how you're feeling on the evening, we, as I said, because it is my hometown and I'm very well versed in Peshawar, one of the popular places to go to is Army Stadium, which has kind of a nice selection of restaurants. One of them is Al-Hadibi, which has a really nice seating area. You can sit on the floor if you like, and depending on what day you go, there's some live music playing, or Food Street, where kind of is, and you'll see lots of YouTube videos covered on that, and you can have a really authentic karai gosh and some chapli kebab, specifically for Peshawar. As I said, if you're feeling too tired, you can do that the next day because you are still in shower for day 4. So day 4, that picture that you can see there is of City Mahalla. So City Mahalla is kind of like it's a World Heritage Site. There are only 7 houses like this made within the city district. And the reason they're a World Heritage Site is because of the detail of the architecture. It's all wooden, it was all handmade. And I take a lot of pride in saying that because my grandfather, so my maternal grandfather, was actually part of the City dynasty. As growing up, we would actually go there, and I remember playing hide and seek. And it's funny because when you're kids, you don't value things like this. And I remember we used to see some of the modern houses, and we're like, oh, it would be nice to stay in some modern houses. You actually can't stay in one of these houses now. As I said, the government has taken, they're now museum sites, and sometimes they are used for bridal photo shoots or some film production. But when I took my kids there, I took a lot of pride and said, actually, I remember, we used to play hide and seek there. We would stay there when we visit my grandparents. But it's something that I think, I was lucky, very fortunate, privileged to have done that. Other places that we'll take you to is Kisafani Bazaar. So Kisafani literally translated to English means storyteller. And it was basically historically known as a hub. So Peshawar is kind of located as part of the Silk Route. So when you would have some tradesmen going to China, kind of taking their trade crossing the Pakistan, this was a famous spot where the traders would sit. They'd sip away at Garva, which is the green tea in Peshawar, and you find lots of kind of Garva chai plates, stops and places where you can enjoy that. But they would then be exchanging stories about their business travel, their trade travels, hence the name Gissakhani Bazaar. You've also got the Killa Bala Hisar, which is the historic, the historic fort. You can't unfortunately take you inside, but you can have a look at it from the outside, and it is, as many forts are, magnificent architecture. And as I said, in the evening, there's a number of different restaurant choices on offer, and depending on how the food is feeling, we will share those options to take you. With Peshawar, I think quite a lot, but in many of the other cities, the guides are very well versed, and as I said, not just about the popular places, but also something new that's open, something that everyone's kind of, the locals will know, so it's something that's often we can track. So on day 5, we leave Peshawar and we start making our way to Lahore, but it's not a direct route. So this is a long day, and I'll be honest, my day is quite a tiring day, but it's an incredible day. So we take you the 2 key attractions that you see are the Vikas Raj Temple, which is a temple in which Hindus still visit on an annual basis for religious pilgrimage, and then we take you to see the Kevra salt mines. Sorry, excuse me, I'm just recovering from a cold. So we take you to see the Kevra salt mines. So that picture there is from the Kevra salt mines. And what's lovely is that within the salt mines, they've obviously lit it up, but they made different monuments from the salt as well. Kevra salt mines are the second largest salt mines in the world. The largest one is in Poland. And when you're making your journey to Kevra salt mines, you can pick up some Himalaya salts, which are really good with like your baths and for aching muscles and aching pains. You can also get some salt lamps as well, and some kind of salt candle holders as well. So there's a couple, there's a few shops that you can see when you're approaching. But as I said, it is a long day. The day starts at 7, and realistically, by the time you get to Lahore, you're looking at about 8 o'clock in the evening. So then, in terms of the evening meal, again, it will be a case of touching base with all of you as a group, and then we can decide, which restaurant, whether you want to enjoy some street food, or whether actually everyone's too tired and you just kind of rather go to a nice restaurant with a nice air-conditioned ambience to it. So day 6, Lahore, to be honest, is after Peshawar, my favourite city because it is full of culture. Pakistani love foodies, but Punjabis are basically the people of Lahore because Lahore is based in the province of Punjab. Take kind of a passion for food lovers to another level. I remember, Lahore really is a city that doesn't sleep. At 3 in the morning, you are hungry, you want to go. all the restaurants are open. It's alive and kicking. It's almost like the Lahori's day starts at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning. So it's got a really nice buzz to it. Both days in Lahore are quite full on because culturally there is so much to see. So we'll take you to see Lahore's walled city, and I will try and upload links to that in my afterwards, to have a look at some of the great architecture pieces that you can see, some of the great street food that you can enjoy. We will take you to see Lahore Fort, which was built by the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. We'll also take you to this image there is of Badshahi Mosque. Badshahi Mosque, if I'm honest, I've been fortunate enough to see it at sunrise and at sunset. And at both times, it's just a beautiful mosque to look at. I think off memory, it's the 9th largest mosque in the world and has a capacity of about 400 kind of worshippers off memory, but I would have to fact check that. We will also then take you to Lahore Museum, and then we will end the day with something a bit more chillax to see Anarkali Bazaar. Anarkali Bazaar is one of the oldest surviving markets in Lahore, and you can get jewelry, clothes, and if you're looking for good deals for shopping, something that's quite authentic, Anarkali is the bazaar to go to. We will on the tour take you to kind of a more contemporary shopping mall as well. And part of the reason, actually, one of the key focuses that I like to try and do on all my tours is give you a holistic perspective of Pakistan, because I think one of the things that people in Pakistan, they think it's poor, poverty stricken, and while of course there is a huge part of the population that is poor, but actually there's a real opulent, very salubrious side, where the middle and upper class lives. And within my tours, I try and show you both sides of Pakistan, to really open the perspective of Pakistan is a lot more than mud-filled villages, or some of the scenes that you see on BBC News when the floods hit Pakistan. So that's kind of day 6, and as I said, you'll notice on all of these pages I'm not specifying for the restaurant, because as I continue to emphasize, it's your holiday, so we take it on board of kind of how you're feeling and choose the restaurant according on a day by day basis. So on day 7, that picture there is of the famous Wagah border. I'll kind of get to that in a second. So on day 7, we'll take you to see the Mausoleum of Jahangir and Noor Jahan. And we'll also take you to see Wazir Khan Mosque. Wazir Khan Mosque, and if you like, I suspect most of you are going on this tour, you're going because you like architecture. A bit like me, I absolutely love architecture. But what I love about Mughal architecture is the intricate detail in the tiles, the design. I also love my photography, and kind of when you take pictures from any angle of Mughal architecture, I find there's always something different that you look at. You can see something 10 times, but every time you see it, you'll notice that small, that new small intricate detail, which unfortunately I think with modern architecture, whilst it's simple and contemporary, it's lost some of that feel. We'll also take you to the Shahi Hammam, which is a Persian-style bath, and was built during the reign of Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. So you can see there's a lot of influence of Mughal architecture in Lahore. Depending again how everyone's feeling and how hot it is in the day, we'll take to Shalimar Garden. And the reason I say Shalimar Garden is optional is because we would then take you to Wagah border. Now, Wagah border, I experienced back in 2018 for the first time. I can best describe it as it's Pakistan's equivalent of changing the guard. So if you think about changing the guard at Buckingham Palace, which is all about kind of the whole grandeur of the soldiers marking, and it's a bit of the showmanship. It's the same, Wagah border is where kind of India and Pakistan meet, and it's literally within the province of Punjab, which is the gate, and it's a whole kind of it's a whole drama where you've got Indian and Pakistani soldiers, kind of going, meeting in the middle and raising their flags and lowering it. What I loved about it is actually how well human it is. You've got the Indian crowds, and you can hear them cheering, and you've got the Pakistani crowds, and it's got such a nice energy and vibe to it. Everyone on both sides is just enjoying the ambience. On the Pakistan side, you'll see it's a lot more about parades and marching, and kind of more national anthems. on India, as you'd expect, a lot more about Bollywood dancing. Now, I haven't obviously seen the Wagah border on the Indian side, but I have had some customers who have experienced the Wagah border on the Indian side, but also the Wagah border on the Pakistan side. And what they've said is that actually the Pakistan side is relatively quieter, and I suspect part of it may be the population. But so as I said, the reason Shalimar Garden is kind of optional because with the Wagah border, you have to kind of get there by about 3:30. So although the ceremony starts at 4:30, but because of the nature of where it is, everyone's got to go through security, and that can take time, and often they do as well. Once that kind of whole experience takes about a couple of hours. In the evening, then we have the option, which again we discussed in the group, of either going to one of the malls to see the more contemporary side of Lahore, but also you can enjoy Lahore by night, and there's a kind of really nice new side, a modern side of Lahore, where you can enjoy some more contemporary mosques and actually see Lahore by night. And I think it's within the defence that they've actually got an artificial, or not a kind of Eiffel Tower replica, which is again worth looking at, and it's quite enjoyable to see at night because it's nicely lit up. So on day 8, so say we leave early. This is another long day because there's a lot of travel, a lot of time spent in the car. Now, don't be put off by the long duration because obviously you do take lots of stops for you to be able to enjoy, stretch your legs, but also enjoy and take some pictures. So we'll be taking you to Harappa. That back is Harappa, which is the archaeological sites, and kind of you don't have to, but those of you who want to, we'll take you up to the highest point, which is where the dome is, for you to be able to enjoy some photography. And the guide, as I said, will take you into a lot more depth and detail about the history, which is not something I'm going to do in this presentation. After we've done that, we then go on to drive and take you to Multan. Now, in terms of Multan, there is a new restaurant which I've recently discovered. It's beautiful. It's called, I think, Multan Oasis, because as the name suggests, it's kind of different restaurants all built around a stream of water that's going. So that's something that we'll probably be adding on and recommending for you to enjoy and experience on the day you arrive, because I suspect by the time you get to Multan, you'll be tired, you won't want to be doing any sightseeing, and it'll be more a case of just relaxing and enjoying a nice meal. Day 9 is really spent in Multan, so the nice thing is there's actually not much driving in terms of long driving involved, and there's lots to see in Multan. And that image there is of a pottery workshop. So Multan is also known for its Sufism. So you'll see that architecture there, such as the Shrine of Sheikh Taha and Shrine of Shams, has a lot of blue tiles to it. There's a lot of influence of Sufi architecture and Sufi kind of music as well. So in some of the shrines, if you're lucky enough, you'll see some local Sufi dancing. We have in the past been able to arrange for some local Sufi dancing in the evenings for our clients. But as I said, we kind of don't put that as a definite, because it is subject to availability and subject to what we are able to do. But 9 times out of 10, this can be arranged. We also get to take you to see some camel skin using Naksha painting. So you get to see how some of the camel skin is painted, and we'll take you to Delhi Gate. So there's a lot involved kind of in the day, but the nice thing about day 9 is it's all based in Multan, so there isn't that, you're not confined to long journeys in the car. That said, on day 10, you're back in the car. Bear in mind that this whole tour starts in Islamabad and ends in Karachi. So over 16 days, there is obviously a fair bit of driving involved. At the back, the image you can see there is of the Raga Fort. Now, I'm going to see if I can change it. Yes, if I change the angle of my camera, kind of that will actually that image gives you a good idea of how huge the forts are. You can see the camel on the man and the men there, and you can just see and compare how tall these forts are. You get to see Sultan Desert, and depending if there are camels, there is the option to enjoy a camel ride while it's there. In terms of driving time, as I said, from Multan to Raga Fort, it's about a 3-hour drive. so 200 kilometers, and from Jalal Fort to Barbapur, which will be your end destination for day 10, it's about a couple of hours drive. On day 11, this is basically Bibi Javandi tomb. It's a beautiful piece of architecture, which unfortunately, as you can see, it's just the remains left. Something to do with the weather conditions, and unfortunately, it's just not being preserved. But the remains. I sometimes think, if you were to visualize and think of how grand it must have been when it actually was in its pure purest form. It's one of those things. Sometimes I think in hindsight, you only have to preserve. So the other, this day is really all about seeing a variety of different shrines. There's a lot more history and architecture on this day as well. And as I said, the guides are very knowledgeable and will go into a lot more detail than I will about kind of the history behind the shrines. On day 12, we leave and we go from Sukkur to Mohenjo-daro and to Sivan. Now, Mohenjo-daro is basically it's an archaeology site, and it is basically famous because it's where the Indus civilization used to live as well. You've also got the shrine of the Lal Shahbaz Qalandar, and in the evening, as I said, we will try and arrange Sufi dances for you to enjoy. The day will be paced, but you can see that there is about 5.5 hours of driving involved, so there's a lot of time spent in the car. On day 13, we take from Sevan Sharif to Rani Kot Fort. So Rani Kot Fort, we saw in Ava's next video, it's almost Sin's equivalent of the Great Wall of, you have the Great Wall of China, so this is the Great Wall of Sin. And it's just a shame that the world is not discovered. Not to forget the world, even Pakistanis, many around the world are unaware of some of these great archaeology sites that basically exist in Pakistan. On day 14, we kind of leave, we leave Hyderabad on day 14 and start making our way to Karachi. So this is we're coming towards the end of the trip. So some things we take you to enjoy the Shah Jahan Mosque. We also take you to see some of the Bombay archaeology sites and to the Chakandi tombs. What you will find, and this is one of the things that my customers who've been on this tour said, is, and I've seen it on some of the YouTube videos, it's in the middle of nowhere from these sites, and you will literally be the only tourist there. And it's a shame because some of these sites probably only have about 20 or 30 tourists a year. Now, I put it in context, the average kind of international tourism for most countries accounts for 10% of their GDP. In Pakistan, it's only 2% of GDP. And of that international tourism, that also factors in the diaspora who are visiting Pakistan. So that, as I said, isn't pure tourism. In terms of pure tourism, we're probably counting about 0.5%. A lot of these sites that you visit, you'll find often you'll be the only one. Now, selfishly, the great thing is you'll have some great pictures because it means you'll have people, you won't have crowds of people behind you. You can actually really get the whole, the archaeology site with the architecture and mosque in the shot, which is fantastic about it. So yeah, that's I think actually that's a plus point because a lot of customers come back and say actually what we love most about this tour was the fact that we didn't see any foreigners along the way, that we were the only foreigners. And that's, I think, what I say that Pakistan is still the beaten track, that going to it now with 19 years, you still enjoy the authentic country. It's not been overly commercialised or overly westernised because of this commercial tourism. So, in terms of the driving, there's a lot of time spent on the car here. So again, from Hyderabad to Shah Jahan Mosque, it's about 100 kilometres, about an hour and a half drive. We then go from Jahan Mosque to Maktoum Hills, which is about 3.5 kilometres. That's a 10-minute drive. But really, the longest drive is, I'm going to change the angle of my camera again, so you can see is really from kind of Chakli Tombs to Karachi, which is about an hour's drive. Now, the good thing is that most of the road conditions are very good. So actually, the drive itself is very comfortable. There's no broken roads, there's nothing like that. So you won't, so what's the long drives are actually very comfortable drives, and the cars that we use are all kind of only 2-3 years old, fully air conditioned, so it's a very comfortable journey. Now, going to the last kind of destination. So after that, day 15, you finally day 14 you usually end up in Karachi, but by the time we end up in Karachi, it's quite late, so it's more a case of just having a meal. Although that said, one of the things that we are timing, and it's something that I discovered recently. So Baria is a kind of every city in Pakistan has a town by the name of Baria, Bahria. So Baria is basically these new modern towns that have been built, which rented to people who don't feel like they're in Pakistan, because it is really for the upper and elite class. They're very contemporary. The houses, the architecture there is incredible. But in Karachi specifically, they actually have the night bus, because within Baria they've made. So I think they've got a dancing fountain there. They've got some other key monuments, which actually are so off the beaten track that most actually I think most tourists never go there and aren't aware of it. As it's something I discovered 2-3 months ago. So we added it so that when you arrive on day 14 in the evening, we take you to go on this night bus tour, which is about a couple of hours, and you get to see the whole of Baria. And for me, it's nice because it gives you a different perspective of Pakistan, a different perspective of Karachi. Now, I'll be honest, Karachi, my husband's from Karachi. As I said, I'm not from Karachi, but I went to Karachi in May and I spent 4 days there because I've never been a big fan of Karachi, and I always struggle selling Karachi to customers, like telling them what they need to see do. Partly because I don't know, but I deliberately went there for 4 days to try and explore. So what you notice on day 15, you've got the National Museum, the Prayer Hall, Mahota Palace, Tuba Mosque, Qaeda Azim. So when you look at that, you think, wow, that's a lot. But actually, having done that, to be honest, it's fair. So for example, Prayer Hall, it's a gallery, or it's hall where when the British Empire used to rule over Pakistan, that's when they would have their ballroom dancing or tap dancing, and obviously Pakistanis weren't allowed there. It's now become an exhibition hall where you've got kind of art galleries and you can go and enjoy. But to be honest, the whole experience, actually half an hour is more than enough. Similarly, Qaeda Azim too, about an hour is more than enough. The Qaeda Azim's museum that we take, which is kind of where he used to live, and they make that museum again. It's quite small, so probably about 45 minutes and an hour is more than enough. So a lot of these things, whilst it looks like it's a lot, actually because they're quite small and proximity-wise they're not too far from one another, actually it's fairly doable in a pleasurable way, so you're not rushed in any way. But kind of the other thing I discovered was Port Brand, which is, if you've been to Disney Springs in the US, it's almost like a Disney Springs, but I don't want to put you off that it's not Americanized. But what's lovely about Port Brand is it's built by the Arabian Sea, so you can see the port, but it's a really nice, basically a food eatery. So it's a paved, pedestrianised area where you can go to no cars, and you can enjoy Chinese barbecue, nahari, halim, like traditional Pakistani food. You can have kind of Lebanese food. You can have Chinese food. Burgers. They've got everything, but they've also got kind of a really nice ambience of a stage where there's live music. But there's this lovely old man there that plays the sitar, and they're Bollywood classics. But when you're sitting on the rooftop enjoying them, you can hear the music in the background. And that for me is, as I said, something I discovered on my trip, and I thought, why aren't we taking our clients there? So I've definitely made sure that's included in the itinerary. Another place that I discovered in Karachi was the name of it was a Sea Salt Cafe. Now, Sea Salt Cafe is really something that only the locals know about, and I got to know about it because my cousin's son, who's a local there, told me about it. And what is beautiful about it, apart from the fact that at the time I had food poisoning, so I couldn't eat a lot, but I had the mushroom soup, and it was absolutely delicious. It was one of the best mushroom soups I had. But what's beautiful about it is that it's by Clifton Beach, but the sunset, if you time it, you get there for 5:30, so you get your spot in the cafe, and around between 6 and 6:30 is when sunset starts there. It gives you a beautiful sunset over the sea that's completely uninterrupted, because it's a private beach for the residents of that area of like Imar. It's not overly commercialized, so you get a beautiful view, and that's a destination full stop that we've added. As I said, the trip to Karachi was really good because I got to see some real nuggets which aren't on your typical itinerary, but I've ensured it's included because as I said, I want you to see Pakistan, the traditional, the cultural side, of course, but also some of the new up and coming places, the other side of how they eat and the other class live as well. So that really kind of brings us to the end of the tour, and day 16 is basically arrange for your airport transfers to take you back to your airport, for you to go back to the destinations that you have come from. If you haven't got a multi-city airline ticket, then as I said, we can arrange for a domestic flight for you to fly you from Karachi back to Islamabad. But please note that that's not included in the price. So, how much is the tour? Now, we always try and be as competitive as possible, but there is a threshold in terms of the hotels that we work with below which we won't go. And the reason I do that is because my key motivation for Experience Pakistan is not about making loads of money. It's about trying to get as many people to Pakistan as possible, and for people to leave Pakistan as brand ambassadors, not of my company Experience Pakistan, but brand ambassadors of Pakistan, telling their friends to go and visit it. And the best way I can do that is to make sure that I'm taking you to comfortable hotels. So they're not always, it's just we have got budget. So by budget means that it won't necessarily have all the bells and whistles, but it will still meet a minimum hygiene standard to ensure that you're not getting food poisoning, that there is a certain level of customer service, and that you're still walking away happy with your experience. So we've got different prices there. So it's semi-deluxe, if it's a group of two, it's £3,850 per person. If we are able to get 4 to 6 people, the price drops down to £3,250. Now, one of the questions I had recently is that if you have a group and half of you want to do semi-deluxe and half of you like you want to go on that, but you can't afford semi-deluxe and come through the budget, absolutely. We can arrange for transportation to then pick you up you from the different hotels, so you can still be part of that group day, and you don't feel that you're restricted to being part of semi-deluxe, and you can go for the lower budget option and still be part of that group. There is a single supplement, as with all holidays, and obviously the single supplement is reflective of that having your own room. And as I said, there's early check-in. So if, for example, you decided that you wanted to come to Pakistan the day before the tour actually starts, or your flight, for example, arrives 3 in the morning and you want to go to the hotel, then early check-in can. So basically, an early check-in, if you are going to the hotel and you want to use a room before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that would be classified as an early check-in, and that's the rate you would have to pay depending on which hotel you're staying in. So the price basically includes the accommodation, an English-speaking guide. It includes private transportation throughout the trip. It also includes all the entry fees for excursions. It includes breakfast, and the key thing, obviously, it does include lunch and dinner, and we do that typically. Cheaper if you don't include lunch and dinner, but also when you're out and about hungry, you want this flexibility, spontaneity to be able to pick up and do something. Whereas if you were to do everything, then you're restricted, and the last thing you want to be on a holiday is restricted by food choices. It excludes the international flights. Now, in terms of the airlines that go to Pakistan, there are a number of airlines that go. British Airways is the only flight that goes direct, and it goes into Islamabad. Other than that, you've got Turkish Airlines, you've got all the Arab airlines, so Emirates, you've got Gulf, you've got Etihad, you've got Oman Airlines. I recently discovered Ethiopian Airline flies in, but Ethiopian Airline flies into Karachi at the moment. That's it. Now, one of the things also you might want to consider, because whilst this is a fantastic tour, because of the long days, it is tiring. So if, for example, you went with Emirates, you've got the option that you could probably maybe add 2 or 3 days in Dubai at the end of the holiday, which you might want to do, just so you can relax a bit before, and that's assuming, if you're retired or you've got work flex to do that. So that might be something you might want to consider, whether that's in Dubai or Abu Dhabi or something, just having maybe a couple of days to relax at the end. So in terms of the hotels, before I go to hotels, group tour dates. So as I said, this is a 16 group tour date. We do have a departure for this year, on the 22nd of December. At the moment, I have one person interested. Now, it's a guaranteed departure based on 2 people. That is subject to the 2 people being happy to pay the price based on 2 people. For the date 16th of February at the moment, we have got 3 confirmed people on that tour. So that, as I said, is a guaranteed departure. So if you want to add on or add yourself to that group, just let me know and get in touch. And then we have another date for next year, which is from the 10th to 26th of October. And currently, at the moment, we don't have any bookings for that tour. As I said, the group tour, the maximum size we would ever go to is 6, because part of it is about kind of making sure that you're all having a good time. I think, when you've got too many people, you can end up having too many different opinions. It can end up being a bit of a drag. And I think sometimes less is more, and it's enough to have the sociability aspect, but not overwhelming where you're thinking things are slowing down or there's too many different things. So in terms of the hotels, so you can have a look here at semi-deluxe. You'll be staying at hotels like Ruby Signature in Islamabad, the Ambient Hotel in Lahore. I stayed at the Ambient Hotel in, just noticed typo, the Ambient Hotel in Karachi. It's absolutely lovely. So the Ambient Hotel is not a chain hotel, it's more like a boutique guest house. But what's lovely is that every room that picture is actually on their kind of reception, their lobby. But it's not even just the room. The customer service was incredible. That everyone, because it's a small boutique hotel, there's 33 rooms in total. Everyone knows everyone. But what was a real testament is that when I went and had breakfast, that there were few customers there, and they were regulars. There were people who kind of come to Karachi for work or business and always stay at the Ambient. I think it's important at the time. And when you've got repeat customers who are doing that, that really, kind of speaks volumes. On the other side, you'll see that with the budget hotel. So as I said, budget's probably not another fair word. Budget is kind of maybe kind of a cheaper hotel. Budget is not like 3%, like the cheapest tip or full standard. It's still decent standard. And hotels, we're using a Hillview Hotel in Islamabad, in Lahore, Luxor Strand. Again, if you were to Google Luxor Strand on booking.com, see it's a lovely hotel. Filati Strand, it's a lovely hotel as well. And then Miran Hotel in Karachi. So what do some customers say? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my camera off so you can just see the screen, and I'll read it in case some people can't see it on the screen. So basic comments that we've had is one of the best holidays we've had. It's lovely not to see so many foreigners, but what drew us was the hospitality of the people of Pakistan. Peshawar, despite being a place advised against travel by the FCO, was one of our favourites because of the rich culture and warmth of the people. So this was from Paul and Tara, who travelled with us. They actually did a 21-day tour because they added a few rest days with us last year. And as I said, they kind of love their history and they love their architecture, and there was some specific things that they wanted to see that we added in their tour as well. Kathy, a lovely customer from Australia, she did this tour as a solo traveller, and I suppose hopefully this instills some confidence, because one of the questions I get from women specifically is like, is Pakistan safe to travel to as a solo female traveller? Absolutely, like any destination, as long as you do it in a sensible way. So in our case, if you're a solo female traveller, then actually you've always had a driver and guide with you, so you're not really ever going to be left to your own devices. That said, if you were to wander around Lahore by yourself, it's absolutely fine. The key cities, many women travel there by themselves. And again, if you were to go into YouTube, there's lots of young female bloggers coming to Pakistan and actually doing it backpacking style and doing it by themselves. So it is very safe to do so. So Kathy basically said, I love just about everything in my tour. The guide was very knowledgeable and extremely flexible in catering for my needs. Thank you, Sadiq, for putting so much effort in planning my itinerary and managing every component. It has been a truly memorable trip in which I have learned so much about the history and customs. And of course, there was a lot more, but I've just taken some of the sound bites from a couple of these. I'm just going to go on to talk about frequently asked questions. Of course, at this point, if you have any questions that you feel I've not covered, please feel free to ask. This Pakistan safe now. Right, so unfortunately, as I thought so, because of the way StreamYard works, I'm having been able to take the video on this, but this is obviously Kathy, she travelled with us, and I will see this way that I upload this video on YouTube. And Kathy's feeling is basically that when she walked around with is that she didn't feel unsafe. Yes, you will get a lot of people looking at you out of curiosity, because remember, Pakistan doesn't have very many foreigners. So when foreigners do come, there's a lot of intrigue and interest by the locals, because they're very appreciative of that effort to visit Pakistan. But also they kind of are intrigued and they want to ask questions. And so you'll get a lot of people who want to take selfies with you. I think much like China, where Chinese people love to take selfies with you as well. And Pakistan's no different, but they mean no harm by it. And that's kind of ultimately what Kathy kind of said, that she didn't feel uncomfortable or unsafe, but obviously kind of she was just aware that people wanted to take selfies, and that was fine. This is not my customer, Stephen Morton, but he had visited Pakistan and follows me on Facebook. And for an event I did at the luxury presentation to the luxury travel show, he finally recorded this video, which unfortunately I can't play because it's just uploaded as static. It's just uploaded as a static image. But again, his testament was, they didn't do this tour. They actually went to North Pakistan, so they did Hunza, Skardusa many years ago. It was him and his wife. But again, his sentiment was very much that Pakistan was very safe. One of those things, as long as you do it sensibly, so either with a local friend who knows the country, or with a reputable company. So it doesn't necessarily have to be between Pakistan, but it has to be a reputable travel company who know their stuff, who kind of have experience in it, then it's absolutely safe and fine to travel around Pakistan. So, do I have to wear a scarf? Pakistan is a Muslim country, but it's a progressive Muslim country. The only time you really have to wear a scarf is when you enter a mosque, out of respect. Other than that, no. Some of the areas, some of the villages, for example, in Ghana, more remote areas, where perhaps they're not as progressive and they're not used to seeing foreigners, maybe just a light headscarf. In terms of attire, it's more about what the clothing you wear. You can wear Western clothing; it's not a problem. But like any Muslim countries, when you go to Dubai or Abu Dhabi, it's been said for. So no necklines, no short, no short skirts. You can wear a skirt as long as it's past your knees, and avoid wearing sleeveless tops. Avoid wearing figure hugging clothes. Now that said, as I said, when you're in the main cities like Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, actually you'll see a lot of the locals wearing Western clothes as well, and some Pakistani clothes are quite aggressive in terms of their cuts and everything. But it's more when you're kind of in Shah is conservative town, is wearing a light headscarf and just being, I suppose, modest in your attire is the best way to describe how you should dress in Pakistan. So these are just some pictures of a couple of the females who went on, so you can see what they're wearing, and that will give you a good flavour and good idea of the kind of clothes you can wear or you should wear. Is there much on offer for vegetarians now? Honestly, Pakistan is a meat-eating country. However, every restaurant there is an option. So you will have some lentils, you have some spinach, some potato dishes, some naan. But are there vegan, vegetarian specialist restaurants, or is there a wide array of menu options? Probably not. There might be a few, because I know that in the cities certainly they do follow international trends. So veganism and vegetarian, there are some vegan vegetarian friendly places in Islamabad, in some of the city areas. But when you're in more remote areas like Hyderabad and Multan, you're relying on kind of lentils or something to be on the menu. There are probably 2 or 3 items. It's not going to be a whole specialism that they have for vegetarian. Can I get round Pakistan by myself? So I just put myself back on the screen so you can see me. Yes and no. So when I say yes and no, when you're travelling to the major cities like Islamabad, Lahore, they've got a good metro bus system, they've got a good rickshaw system. So do you know what? If you didn't want my services and you wanted to go to see the city by yourself, you absolutely can. Could you do this tour by yourself? It would be challenging. And I say it would be challenging because the infrastructure in terms of travel between the cities is not great. Now you can use trains, and I have seen I've seen some vloggers who are backpacking and they're using the public transport system. Absolutely. So it depends on what kind of if you want a comfortable luxury travel where you've got a private car and you travel with us. If actually you are quite adventurous, I'm happy to get you guide and map your own way around. You can. It will take longer than 16 days with the train connections and the work. And you would have to make sure that you do a fair bit of homework to map out kind of when the train's coming and everything. So all in all, if it's just a single city, yes, you can do it by yourself. If it's just Islamabad and Lahore, absolutely. But if you want to do something like this itinerary, it's challenge. What's the visa process now? The good thing is, back in August this year, to promote tourism and make tourism easier, both in terms of travel tourism and business travel, what the government of Pakistan have done for 130 countries, of which UK is one of them, is that they have introduced a new visa system, which is basically visa on arrival. So for visa on arrival, you only have to apply for it 24 hours before, and if you can get it within a couple of hours, it's free. So there's no cost, no charge involved. If you go on my website, experiencepakistan.com, I will post it on the comment box, but I will otherwise also put it on the link at the video below once I have recorded of this. You can actually, I have a link on my homepage, so that will take you to the link of how to go about applying for your visa. And that really is kind of the end of long presentation. I appreciate there's a lot of information there. As I've gone along, I've tried to cover as many of the questions that have come up from previous customers that I can think of. If I can see that there are 3 people watching this, I'm not sure, Phil, if you're still there, or Angela, if you're still there. So if you've got any questions that you feel I haven't covered off, please feel free to ask. I'll hang around for another 5 minutes or so. And if there are any questions, I'll just end this and I will then share this screen record later on. So I hope you found that of interest. I will be doing one next Wednesday as well. So basically every Wednesday between, today was the first one, I have another 2 presentations I will be doing. So next Wednesday I will be covering the northern side of Pakistan. So that's covering what the itinerary covers. At the same time, hopefully next week I'll be a bit more organised and I will start at 6:30 on the dot. And then the following Wednesday at 6:30 again, I'll be covering what I call the hybrid tour. So it kind of entails a bit of the city side and a bit of the northern areas as well. So it's a fusion of the two. Now, one of the key things that I just want to say about this tour, as I said, it is 16 days. In terms of the payment, so the payment option will work as follows. If you wanted to go on one of the group tours, but at the moment we have no booking, yeah, Phil, go ahead. Let me know what the questions are. I'll just finish off this point. So at this point, if you want to go for a date where we don't have another group booking, all we request is the £200 deposit. The reason for the £200 deposit is so that we know that you are committed to that date, and it makes sure that when we get someone else to apply, we can say, right, now that you're on, you'll have to take priority space for 2 people. It's a guaranteed departure. That £200 is fully refundable. There's no admin fee, nothing taken off, unless you're an international flight, of which then the only thing that will take off then banking charges. So if that tour doesn't go ahead. Now, the other option is when you pay the deposit, you say you're interested, we do then give you the option that if you can't do the date you'd like to go on, but we have, for example, like 16th of February, I know that there's 3 people booked, I would then say to you, well, Phil, for example, for argument's sake, would you like to go in that group? And then you can go to that group. But as I said, just because you pay a £200 deposit, that is not, there's no T's and C's. Yes, Phil, photography is welcome. We are a country of selfie lovers. We love pictures. I think it's still one of those things, is as with any place, it's just being respectful. Asking people. I think that it's very, people of Pakistan are very familiar with lots of people taking pictures. I want to say lots of people, not necessarily foreigners, but locals. But again, with foreigners, I think most of them, certainly in Islamabad, Lahore, Karachi, key cities are fine. I think in the more rural areas like Hyderabad, Peshawar, certainly Multan, I think if it's men, it's okay. Where there's women involved, it would be, yeah, I think it would be err on the side of caution. So, for example, it says I'm from Peshawar, which is quite conservative, so I don't think it would be welcome for you to be kind of specifically focusing in on a woman thing. If you're taking a picture of, let's say, of a city and there's a woman that happens to come in it, perfectly fine. But if, for example, there's sometimes property and there was, a specific female, because of the way she's wearing a headscarf that you want to take a picture, no, I would advise against it. As I said, in the horror Islam, I think they're a bit more progressive. If you ask me, they're a bit more open-minded, and I'll probably say, yeah, that's fine. We're happy to take a short picture. But yeah, people intuitively, if it's, as I said, a wide-angle picture, that's absolutely fine. I'm sure you had another question. I'll wait for the second question. Okay, so on this specific tour, there's no high altitude. The tour that I'm talking about next week is where we're going up into the mountains. This one, as I said, this is more of an urban city tour. So you're starting from Islamabad and going down to Karachi. So literally, yeah, there is no altitude in this at all, so you don't have to worry about altitude. The tour that I'm covering next week, if you get altitude sickness, is probably something I'd advise against. Just trying to think if there's any other questions which I haven't covered off that I can think of. I think, one of the things I haven't covered off is just to let you know how we operate is before you travel. So, for example, I've got Pam and her friends, they're leaving this Friday. So we always create a WhatsApp group with all of our clients 3 weeks before they're due to travel. And the WhatsApp group basically has yourself in it. With all the group attendees, it has me, it has the guide that you're going to have in Pakistan, and the managing director of the operations, who manage it for Experience Pakistan in Pakistan. And the reason we create this WhatsApp group is A, to give you reassurance that I'm contactable throughout your trip. And we have had, some issues and so I'll be honest, not everything is always plain sailing, but it means that A, it gives you reassurance that it's not a case of like taking your money and as I said, see you later, and that until you don't return back to London safely, you are still my responsibility. But if although the team in Pakistan are very good, so you can speak to them and they're very quick to respond. But if you don't feel comfortable or you find there's some kind of language barrier or something, you can always WhatsApp me, and obviously I'm constantly on alert whenever any of my clients go to Pakistan throughout their duration. The other reason we create that WhatsApp group is because it enables you to say hello to the team and the guide before you go. So when you get to the airport, you've already said your hellos, you've got reassurance that you're in communication with the guide. So there's any problem with your luggage coming out late or they're stuck in traffic, you've got each other's contact details to communicate with. Now, in the case of a group, with everyone's consent and permission, obviously based on GDPR, we would obviously try and arrange if you're local, a face-to-face meetup. If not, a Zoom call with all of the people as part of the group. And again, part of the reason is all kind of say hello to each other, know each other, and there isn't this, kind of daunting just turning up in Islamabad and trying to figure out, who's who. It's always nice that actually, it's also nice that if you know beforehand, you might want to work and coordinate with each other to get similar flights where you fly them together. I'm not saying you have to, but that's one way to do it. The other question which I haven't covered, obviously, people ask me, can I do flights? I can't do flights because I don't have an actual license. Now, that said, the best place to get travel flights, I find, is Skyscanner. I'll put it in the comments here. So it's Skyscanner, I'm just going to type it. I think it's skyscanner.com. Now, they give you the best price. So Skyscanner, for those of you who aren't familiar, is a bit like a GoCompare type website. So you would just type in the date you want to travel, the city you want to land in, etc. And then it will give you a whole list of different airlines that offer different prices from the cheapest to the most expensive. The only thing I think that maybe you can't do Skyscanner actually is a multi-city ticket. So if you wanted a multi-city ticket, one of the travel agents I've used in the past is Travel Up. In fact, every time I tend to use Skyscanner, and most of the time, the last 4 times I've ended up buying a ticket on Travel Up because Travel Up was the travel agent that came up with Skyscanner with the cheapest ticket. And so you may want to try call it Travel Up to get a multi-city ticket. So I think that's it. My throat is getting really dry and I could do with a glass of water. I hope you found that useful. And as always, just because I'm kind of this stream is ending, you can comment either on this later on, or if you watch this afterwards. For those of you who are watching as a recording, I'm also going to just put my email address so you can contact me via email if you've got any questions. But I hope that's thorough enough, and I hope that's a flavour of what you can enjoy in Pakistan. And I'm going to end it with a final video for you to watch. So just to leave you all this final video. Okay, and that is really the end of the presentation. Thank you so much for those of you who joined. Thank you for those of you who stayed on till the end. And yeah, for that, I appreciate there's lots there to think about. So as I said, if there's any other questions that come up, I've shared my email address. Please feel free to get in touch. You can also give me a call on 0203 150 1444. So if you want to have a telephone call or a video call, I'm more than happy to do that. Thank you again so much and enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care. Bye bye.